Like, I still have a couple of lozenges. So, I'm G. Not many, though.
All good. Bueno. Aquí estamos, papi. Aquí estamos. En, oh god, this is the first time we're introducing the new maps. En la mapa, adentro y afuera. ESL, tenemos el coreano, tenemos el rojo Teren, que tiene sus manos. no sé cómo decir, papi, sí. Tenemos el gran Teren representando Africa Freaks. Él es KeeN. Ándale, papi, ándale.
Sí, tenemos Guangdong y África. Sí. Y apreciando aquí en una de las esquinas del mapa, apreciando en una esquina del mapa que está en el grupo de mapas competitivo actual, pero aún no en el grupo de mapas de escalera. Paciencia, papis, paciencia. Tenemos al jugador Terran Verde bajando de la tierra de España y también representando a Platinum Heroes. Él es el mismo español loco, AqueroN.
El mismísimo, papi, el mismísimo.
Mismo, sí. Mismo español.
I love it, mate. I love it. Ay. I think my favorite part, for those who don't know, is that Yaku gets real creative with what he Google translates. I try to do that sometimes. Obviously, I didn't have time to do that, so mine was pretty bland. But I always appreciate your intros, Yaku. I appreciate them.
Well, the thing is, you try to get creative with the Google Translate, but then in your brain you're like, no, this sentence is not.
It doesn't make sense.
That people actually say. It doesn't make sense. It's a direct translation.
Doesn't make sense.
I don't have that. I was gonna say weakness, but
you're like, I never make sense, Bobby. That's my trick.
That's my secret.
That's my secret, mate. Oh god. Well, speaking of
your
secrets,
brain auto translates.
It's true. It's true. It's actually true. Oh my god!
Yeah,
but we are getting into our game here, and yeah, we had a little bit of an interesting opener. AqueroN was trying to play with some mind games here, trying to hide his racks in his main base, but KeeN did find it in the end. He did recognize, okay, there wasn't any kind of weird proxy shenanigans going on.
And in the end, we see two players going for the coffee build.
Oh yeah, exactly. Coffee may not be here in the bracket, but he is here in spirit, inside of all of us, especially these players here. As yeah, we do see non-stop Hellions and Reapers going to be pushing out, I imagine, across the map, but KeeN is waiting for his opponent. Oh.
Yeah, he's playing this out a little bit more reactively, I should say. He's kind of expecting AqueroN to push into him, which is exactly what's happening. I don't believe AqueroN was able to scout KeeN, but KeeN was able to scout AqueroN, so yeah, this makes sense.
Oh, but you know what? One Hellion moves out, which means there's going to be a little bit less firepower here for KeeN. So here we go. AqueroN's going to push in, and he does have the numbers advantage until a backup Hellion rocks up. Oh my god, but he gets focused down.
Yeah, that positioning advantage at the top of the ramp was helping out KeeN for a little while, but the firepower was able to bust on through. He pulls a couple of boys and doesn't actually lose any of them in his defense. So in the end, AqueroN actually loses a lot more than KeeN.
Yeah, exactly. The defender's advantage was just far too great here, so KeeN does come out on top. Just like that, AqueroN has to relinquish his map control. He's forced to give it up. And this is a scary moment because KeeN didn't lose too much. That means when his follow-up push comes, which is coming as soon as this medevac is done, it can be a little bit scary.
Oh, yeah. The Reaper is able to break on through, and Scout confirms what the production is looking like for the time being. But as you said, once the medevac is out, once it's able to drop a couple of units across the map, we're going to see the dynamic completely shift between who's the aggressor and who isn't.
Oh god, exactly. As both players are actually looking to be aggressive, both players are moving out with their respective drops here. Medevac drop coming across the map full of Marines. Meanwhile, likewise, less Marines here for KeeN, but he's got more to make up for that on the ground. Uh-oh. And
At the end of the day, though, AqueroN's gonna hit quicker.
there's nothing here, puppy. There's one cyclone. Okay, we have a second cyclone. We have a handful of marines. There is no like a bunker or any wall here on the low ground. So we'll see if AqueroN can hold on.
Well, KeeN already able to get the drop on AqueroN. The cyclones, no. I could see the lag coming in there, unable to really target the medevac in time. A couple of marines, or SCVs rather, going down, but so are a couple of marines.
Yeah, at the same time, we have Hellions rocking into the natural base. At the same time, AqueroN is dropping his own marine drop here into the main base of KeeN. He deals some economic damage. The reinforcements are not going to be enough. The power of the medevac is a little bit too good. But with the Raven, with the auto turret, AqueroN gets cleaned up.
Yeah, even gonna lose the medevac over there. AqueroN losing actually not an insignificant amount of SCVs, or an insignificantly... Yeah, a noticeably larger amount of SCVs there.
Oh, and surprisingly, we do have a little bit of lip harass coming in here as well. Only one SCV going down. In the end, KeeN was able to kill 5 more workers compared to AqueroN, which is a little bit significant, but at least there is still a Liberator here, and at least AqueroN actually kept that medevac alive.
Yeah, forces a Viking out of KeeN, actually. And it's actually pretty huge. KeeN by now would have liked to have 2 Ravens, but he had to delay that. He has to delay his own presence on the map because of it. So even though AqueroN is behind in the worker count, he has a little bit of breathing room here to try to catch back up, or, I mean, even be aggressive. AqueroN, he non-stop drops are coming out from him. That's what I love to see in a TvT. I'm not completely convinced it's going to work out for him, though.
Yeah, like, I don't blame him because he knows he's behind. He knows that he lost more workers, so he has to deal more damage. On top of that, he's being aggressive, and he's also expanding on location as well. So he's being as greedy as possible. He's cutting as many corners as possible. We'll see if he can deal damage. Unfortunately for AqueroN, KeeN is keeping his army at home.
Yeah, he does have that Cyclone here. The drop is coming in completely undetected into the main base. 2 tanks already able to siege up, but starting to take a little bit of damage. Ooh. And of course the Ravens are here. So.
Yeah, we have the disables on the tanks, which means they cannot unsiege, they cannot be picked up. We do have some decent damage being done though. 10 SCVs go down. This army is going to be cleaned up in the end, but not a bad way to even up the worker count.
Yeah, maybe not a very efficient trade in the end there, but when it's all said and done, AqueroN does find himself back on even footing economically. Even a little bit ahead here. He has the 3rd base quicker. He is turning it into an orbital quicker. He killed a couple more SCVs over on this side of the map. Thanks to the Liberator that was kept alive.
Yeah.
The way coming back. Okay, I like it.
I mean, he also kept both medevacs alive. He's coming back in with the triple marine drop. These SCVs are pretty low. These marines can actually do a surprising amount of damage. Uh-oh.
Yeah, they probably won't even need to stim.
Oh god, exactly. Already getting one of those workers for the trouble. Gets a Hellion as well. Picks up, and he's going to get the hell, boost the hell out of here. Back across the map, AqueroN is taking that worker lead, but has to be careful because he did end up throwing away 2 of those tanks.
And that's actually pretty huge in a TvT. Medevac will finally go down along with the rest of that drop. And while KeeN may find himself a little bit behind now, what we have to keep in mind is he does have that higher tank count. He's going to get stim a lot quicker than AqueroN will. This is looking to be a push coming out pretty soon.
Oh, he wants the Ravens. He wants the Ravens off!
He will get one of them! Huge pick off.
Oh my god, I love it. We saw a scan to try and recognize how much anti-air we had here for KeeN. Bearing in mind, he lost a lot of his Marines defending against that drop earlier, so a nice snipe on one of the Ravens, and he wants to try and get another.
Yeah, he didn't get too greedy either with that. There's a couple of Vikings now, but still enough to maintain air dominance.
Yeah, and he got a medevac, so now there's only 1 remaining here for KeeN, which means drop potential is that much more difficult here for him as well. So I'm so impressed with what little damage AqueroN has been able to get over the course of this game, and slowly it's adding up.
Yeah, slowly but surely. Gonna be throwing down a couple more production facilities, a couple more other things as well to catch back up in here. I'm liking this from KeeN. He recognizes that with 1 Raven, it's not really going to be that useful in a fight, so he's going to be using it for harass and maybe some multi-prong with it as well.
Yeah, he's pushing through these rocks here to lay siege on the 3rd base. AqueroN does see this, by the way. He does have a spotted marine on the other side of those rocks. A sensor tower thrown down as well. AqueroN may be down in the tank count, but he will have the defender's advantage. He should be able to siege up in time.
Yeah, KeeN scans, recognizes the army's there, and nopes the hell out of there. Doesn't quite have enough buffer to really support its tanks.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, we have a little bit of auto turret harass here at the natural base. 7 workers going down. KeeN now actually gaining that lead once again in workers. But we do see AqueroN. Oh, I thought these were the Vikings trying to hunt down that Raven. No, he's going for a drop.
So did I. And this is a drop with tanks as well. Sensor Tower finishes up just in time for KeeN, though. Ooh. He sees that drop coming down, but can he actually do anything about it? The answer is yes, with these Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings are going to be able to focus down these medevacs, which means there is no way out here for AqueroN. The tanks do siege, though, and 4 tanks. That's pretty significant. We do see a couple of Vikings trying to land here to take them out, but they all get focused down.
Yeah, and actually the tanks are doing a lot of damage, and we're able to siege up first. The Marine count for KeeN pretty much decimated. And while Marines are kind of expendable, considering the kind of lack of production that KeeN has here, every unit counts.
Yeah, and I don't think that was really worth it there for AqueroN because I was afraid to look. But if you look at the units tab, we have 3 tanks remaining for our Spanish Terran, as opposed to the 8 of our Korean. Like, that was 4 tanks. That was a massive doom drop. It had to do more. It had to deal more damage, get at least some economic damage, but it only traded.
Yeah, that was a huge gamble coming out here from AqueroN, and it didn't really pay out for him. Arguably a gamble that he didn't need to take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Like, he did a really good job at catching back up after having a deficit earlier, and maybe he felt like he was still in that state. Maybe he felt like he still was behind it. He still had to do more damage, and he had to keep going for drops like he is now. To be fair, this time he does, but earlier, not so much.
Definitely. And this time it's going to be even harder for him. There are a lot more spotters available for KeeN. He has the sensor towers as well. Maybe the lack of the Vikings will create a bit of a blind spot, but I mean, KeeN is well aware of what's coming his way now.
Yeah, he even sends a drop of Marines here into the main base as well to try and catch anything that comes his way. With the sensor tower and with that spotter depot, AqueroN, he backs off, which I think is a really wise choice for the time being. KeeN trying to, again, catch any kind of stray medevacs out here.
Yeah, not finding too many, but does find a spotter Marine at the very least.
Replaces it with his own. Meanwhile, back at home, AqueroN slowly macroing on up. He's still on 3 bases. KeeN, because of his map control, he already has his 4th up and running. Another sensor tower here. So as the game goes on, KeeN, it feels like he's going to get a little bit more and more ahead. As I say that, though, AqueroN does have the army supply lead right now.
Yeah, surprisingly.
He has a lot of Marines.
He has a lot more Marines. Yeah, he has a lot more Marines, and I think he has more medevacs, but when it comes to the backbone units, tanks and Vikings, to be fair, they're both lacking Vikings, but KeeN definitely takes the W when it comes to the tank count.
Yeah, mate, we have 78 Marines to, like, sorry, we have 83 now Marines to compare to the 40, so we have double the Marine count here for AqueroN.
And AqueroN is maxed out with Marines now, so, yeah, Marines definitely have their place in a mid to late game TvT. They're a very mobile unit. They work really well as kind of an elastic defense, but they're not really the greatest in a head-to-head engagement.
Yeah, like, what are they going to do against this? Like, look at this, mate. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
We have 8 tanks here alone. We have another tank line here on the right-hand side. The right-hand side is looking a little bit weaker here, but we need to go for some drops. We need to make use of this mobile army. KeeN turtling up very strong here on 4 bases. Can he be broken? He has his Vikings maneuvering here on the left-hand side. His right-hand side, again, maybe looking a little bit more vulnerable, but AqueroN, he has to try and find that angle.
And this is the TvT that I'm a bit more used to, like.
Yeah.
This is KeeN, you know, turtling, as you said, turtling up and kind of saying, "Come at me, AqueroN. I know you like playing aggressive," and AqueroN takes the okay, not quite. I was gonna say takes the bait or takes the challenge, but
I mean, he does stim.
Yeah, he's being very careful. He is stimming. You can definitely tell he wants to find an angle.
Yeah, he wants to try and find a way in, but for the time being, he cannot. Meanwhile, that Raven's reddening as well, with potentially an anti-armor missile. We do see him rotate around towards the right-hand side. Gonna find a couple of naked tanks, but again, we have a lot here to still support KeeN, and at least AqueroN is taking 2 bases behind this.
Yeah, this is a really good use of your mobile Marine force. You get that map control, you play as greedy as you can get away with, and then just build more production facilities back home.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see if he can as he stims on forward. Oh, is this the wisest choice? Anti-armor missile blankets everything.
definitely not a very wise choice. AqueroN was hoping that there were only going to be those 3 tanks over there, but there were way more in the back line where that came from. The entire Marine count got decimated. The Marine tanks fall pretty quickly after that as well, and look at that army supply difference now. I don't even want to look at the battle report from that, because that was KeeN trading as efficiently as possible, and AqueroN throwing away the lives of so many Marines.
Yeah, I don't blame him, right? Like, he didn't have the most ideal army. We were talking about it. He just had more Marines than anything else, and he had to do something. He did catch a couple of tanks, but he overcommitted. He lost everything, and now KeeN, still maxed out, is pushing out across the map.
And again, KeeN is not, or AqueroN, sorry, is not really prepared for this. You know, at a certain point, you do want to get rid of your Marines, but behind that, it's because you're building starports. It's because you're building. It's because you're starting to get a late game army. AqueroN is nowhere close to that position right now.
Yeah, meanwhile, KeeN, he's there. He's making 2 Ravens at a time. He already has Corvid reactors as well. 3-3, about to finish up. He goes with the disable. He's diving on in, and these tanks for AqueroN are just crumbling.
And the last desperate bid. AqueroN is trying to go for a little bit of a base trade, but I'm not convinced it's one he can win. Not only does he have the smaller army, he has the worse army. GG, KeeN takes game number 1.
GG, well played there, very well played. A little bit more of a dynamic back and forth. Like, it was really cool to see AqueroN be as aggressive as he was, and he was fighting damage at certain points. Yeah, not so much at other points.
Yeah, it definitely feels like AqueroN was playing a little bit scared after the openings didn't really go his way. Because you notice he came back really, really well. His harassment was just so on point. He traded 1 medevac full of units, or I think 2 medevac full of units, really, for basically an entire mineral line plus a couple of extra units there. Yeah. He was on equal. He was ahead when it came to the economy, but instead of using that kind of economic position to get further ahead or to build more production buildings, he went for a bit of an awkward drop and then was never able to find his footing back after that.
Yeah, after that 4 tank drop, he never recovered his tank count, essentially. Like, that was the moment. Yeah, that was the moments where KeeN just soared when it comes to his overall army quality compared to AqueroN's, and it was difficult to come back from that position. Not impossible, but difficult. We saw how fortified KeeN was on those 4 bases.
Yeah, I feel like most games of StarCraft, it's difficult to find that one pivotal moment, because it's a lot of different factors stacking together. Like, one little mistake that gets taken advantage of more and more. This was one of the few games where you can point and say, yep, that was when, basically when AqueroN didn't have any more chance. But the game continued anyway. But regardless, we're going to be continuing our series now to Data. Under the Sea. Wait, okay, so it's Under the Sea, but does Data or Data make more sense? I never actually really thought about it. I listened to Asher Bro and Steel Mold both have different interpretations. I never decided which one was better. I'm gonna go with Data, just because, you know, Star Trek. Data Under the Sea. Oh wait, no, it's Under the Sea. The Red Terran player here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. He is coming down from the land of Korea, representing the Kwangdong, formerly known as Afrika Freaks. Now, or just the Freaks, if you want to call them that. He is KeeN.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner, but also right next to KeeN's base, we have the Spanish Terran player himself representing Platinum Heroes. It is AqueroN.
And I have so many memories of playing against KeeN in Only Mo leagues. And in the first game, him, you know, being courteous and being like, okay, let's see what you got. And then immediately after, he decides, okay, yeah, no, you're, I don't need to even, you know, I don't need to, I can afford to take risks against you. He immediately proxy moves me. This is KeeN in TvT.
Yeah, it happens. We've seen KeeN do it, but now
AqueroN turning the tides. I love it. AqueroN. giving him a bit of a taste of his own medicine.
Exactly, the tides have been turned, mate. Looking at the vision of KeeN, he has not gone for an SCV scout, not yet. So he's still in the dark when it comes to what is happening. He does have a spotter depot, and ooh, the Reaper is going down this pathway and is not going to scout.
This is how you can tell like AqueroN has kind of practiced on this map quite a bit. He knows what a typical Reaper path would look like on Data C.
Oh, exactly. The first two Reapers already going into the main base. They're going to get a kill here on the building factory. SCV even gets a first shot off on that Reaper, but oh, so far the boys have been pulled. Two SCVs have gone down.
Yeah, and maybe more where that came from. The second Reaper does come in, and KeeN actually able to keep his own Reapers alive.
Oh yeah, very pivotal moment here. He was able to get a kill on one of those Reapers, so now AqueroN doesn't have the Reaper advantage. He did end up throwing that away a little bit there, so he has to be a little bit more conservative until he has more Reapers.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you can stop the snowball a little bit, you can prevent the entire avalanche.
Exactly.
So
Speaking of,
he's building Hellions.
yeah, and speaking of avalanche, KeeN just goes across the map, and there's nothing here.
Oh yeah, he is well aware that all of the production is on the other side of the map. Able to stall the factory production as well. There are now 2 Hellions, and that is just about enough to deal with proxy Reapers. It's dependent on how well KeeN is able to control them, of course.
Yeah, it really is. So far, AqueroN has been doing a decent job of just start stepping backwards, but no, if he's not careful, he is going to get surrounded. In the end, he will back off, but these Hellions have done a great job at zoning AqueroN out.
Yeah, and look at that. I'm honestly surprised that KeeN has only lost 2 SCVs, while AqueroN, he has lost 9 and counting. He is looking to wipe out this entire mineral line with only 2 Reapers.
Yeah, exactly, and a lot of that is because the factory just isn't done. He cannot produce his own Hellions back at home defensively. Meanwhile, he just dives on in. He will catch 2 of these Hellions, but it's not going to be enough. GG gets called, and KeeN cleans it up and takes the series 2-0.
Can we get a clap here in the chat? Very solid defense coming out from KeeN here. I was so excited, like, when I saw KeeN, or when I saw AqueroN go for the double proxy Reaper. I thought, yes! I have all my deep seated kind of suppressed memories of Oli Moly coming back here, and I'm looking to see KeeN get a taste of his own medicine, but KeeN coming in here and saying, mate, the only reason why I do this is because I know how to defend against this.
True, mate, true. KeeN just was looking so good here against that kind of proxy, against that cheese. We saw him lose a couple of SCVs to begin with, but he was so decisive when it comes to just sending everything else across the map. It was kind of insane to see, like, just how confident he was with that and how well it worked out for him.
Yeah, it really does. And with that, we congratulate KeeN making it to the semifinals here. We give some commiserations to AqueroN here. Again, it's a little bit of a shame that his run does get cut short here, but it's always a treat to be able to catch him in a tournament like that.
Yeah, definitely.
But now, though,
I was gonna say, I hope that, you know, that's not the last we see of AqueroN as well. Like, he looked really good, especially in game number 1. Like, against KeeN, you know, KeeN was coming in as the favorite. You know, he is a Sparkling Tuna Cup champion. We expect him to do well multiple times. But AqueroN definitely held his own.